Welcome on into GoldSheet TV Week 6 Best Bets Edition. Like I mentioned last time, blame Newbie for the 24-hour delay on what was going on. Newbie is traveling back to Philly. Congrats to you getting to see your Philadelphia Phillies. Move on to the NLCS. We'll be discussing the Philadelphia Eagles-New York Jets game coming up in just a little bit here. I want to remind everybody, just smash the like button and keep leaving those comments. We love interacting. We love hearing your thoughts. We love seeing what you guys have to say about our work, your plays, everything in between. But I need to ask for more smashing of the like button. We're getting great views. Love the content. Love the interactions. Like the video too. That also goes a very long way for us as well. But Newbie, without further ado, you know how we do on the show. We don't mess around. We get right into the picks. Right to it. Indianapolis +4 at Jacksonville. Total sitting around 44 and a half. Look at the WagerTalk Live odds screen. I have thoughts on this game. You have thoughts on this game. Kick us off, Newbie. Where are you leaning or where are you playing Colts Jaguars?
Yeah, this is a bet that I've made myself, and it's a bet I like quite a bit here, and it's getting the points with Indianapolis. And this is another one of those sharp first square divides. It worked really nice for us riding with Jacksonville last week with the rest advantage that they had staying out in London. And it kind of correlates some why I'm looking at the other side. So let's start before we talk about Jacksonville. Let's talk about the Colts and the fact that we won't see Anthony Richardson. But let's be real. Minshew's already showed that if it is Gardner Minshew, and it will be Gardner Minshew, you can't just throw this team out just because Richardson isn't playing. And also, Minshew is a big rah-rah guy who brings the juice. I think he'll have a little bit of extra juice as he's facing off against the team that threw him by the wayside for Trevor Lawrence. Obviously, that was the right decision, but Gardner Minshew is the kind of guy that when you wrong him, that will stick with him for sure. So I think a little bit of added motivation with the quarterback switch for Gardner Minshew, and then we factor in with Jacksonville. This, to me, EP, it's just like the quintessential letdown spot. And I know that doesn't always work out, but when you're handicapping in a situational style, 2 huge wins for Jacksonville back-to-back out in London. They stay there for 9 days. Now they come home a little fat and sassy. They took down the Bills, and they're facing a team who really has done horribly on this road trip to face them in Jacksonville. All of these things are true statements, but then why are the Jacksonville Jaguars only 4-point favorites? If they're as good as the talking heads say they are, this should be a 6-point spread. There is no starting quarterback for Indianapolis Colts. This pass attack is going to pick them apart with what they do in the secondary, but I'm getting over a field goal and a short number, it looks like to me. That tells me the odds makers are looking towards the dog and they don't want to give them anything close to a touchdown there. It's a one-way handicap. Sure, there's holes you can pick in it, and hop below in the comments and do so and tell me why I'm wrong on this one. But to me, it just boils down to Jacksonville finally home in their beds. They're feeling real good about themselves, and this is a dog that's been barking all year long. Catching them over a field goal, give me that short number of 4. I like the Colts getting the points in this one.
So this is something we actually touched on a little bit prior in our Tuesday edition of the show.
Yeah.
We don't normally break down games there, but there was a very interesting nugget that we had to point out. So last week, we were all over the Jacksonville Jaguars against the Buffalo Bills. And a lot of that handicap was there is 100% value in a team that is hanging out and staying in London for 2 weeks versus a team like the Bills who flew in on Friday, had 48 hours to get their body clocks ready, and we saw what happened. The Bills were sleeping on the field in the first half of the game. Jaguars got out to a lead. They ended up extending and winning that football game. Now, it's definitely priced into the market a little bit because you would expect this game to close around probably like 5.5, 6 if you were making like true numbers. But spending 2 weeks in London, then coming home, while we're not sure how it's going to affect, body clocks and how hard or easy it is to readjust yourself after being out there for so long. But you also are going to have the situation where you're seeing your family for the first time in 10 days. You're sleeping in your own bed. You're eating at, your own restaurant that you like to eat at. Like there are some things that can lead to just like a comfortability place here. We saw the Colts lose to the Jaguars in week 1. We saw a half Richardson, half Minshew game in that one as well. That game was a 10-point game, but should have been a much closer matchup than that one. I think we both had the Colts on the spread there, but it was a situation where the Colts went like 1 for 13 on 3rd down and 1 for 5 on 4th down. They just couldn't get that extra push here, and we've already raved about Shane Steichen and what we think. So I think that at 4.5, what I was able to do, what the GoldSheet team did is we got in a teaser. So now there's two ways to think about teasers. The first way is to get it early in the market, so you're able to get a Colts plus 4.5 to a 10.5, which is what we did. There's also the other school of thought. Both have merits 100% of waiting till the market's more efficient and then, teasing up because you know that you're getting 6 points on an efficient closing line. But when it comes to the 4.5, I would say it's accurately priced. But if I'm doing Survivor, I'm absolutely not picking Jacksonville. And if you do see a broke 4.5, or you want to do a 6.5 point teaser, if you get minus 130, which is acceptable, Colts plus 10.5 at Jaguars is on the card. It's on the card.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I like that quite a bit. And those 10-point teasers, though they're not your Wong, they're not your textbook, this is an advantage teaser. They've been really good to us. And also something that AP and I want to do, and hopefully we can find a numbers guy to do it, is since the extra point was all changed, and since we've really seen a changing of the guard in the NFL, are key numbers truly key numbers as we get a bigger and bigger sample size? Because these plus 10.5 teasers have been one of my favorite to make, and they have been very profitable for me this year, last year. As the Wongs have kind of started falling by the wayside, I'm kind of with you. It makes a heck of a lot of sense. A team that I think is barking, give me them at 10.5 all day long, and at minus 130 teaser. Again, the math makes sense as well for that one too.
Yeah, and we were talking about off air, Newbie and I, it's like all the Wong teaser stuff, was all predicated.
The secret's out. Like you're not tricking the book on an advantage teaser anymore. You know what I mean?
Exactly. That's first things first. Is they know just as much as you know. Maybe like 5 to 10 years ago, it was a little bit kept under wraps. But then once you have one talking head talk about it, the next thing you know, it became the talk of Twitter. And this is something that, again, all the information was predicated on information before the extra point was moved back. So since then, I'm sure there's going to be a shift where 8 is a much more crucial number. 10 has always been a football number, so obviously getting that covered in a teaser is a big thing. So now Newbie and I are not going to say that we broke down the numbers 100%. We would love
it's just more anecdotal that seems like there's a changing of the guard for sure. And hopefully by the end of the season doing this show, we'll have some raw data for you to kind of back it up.
100%. Jacksonville plus 10.5. Loving it. Now, moving on to a matchup where, a 14-point spread, we got the Panthers headed to Miami. Not interested in that. We just saw Miles Sanders is out for the game. Does that even matter? Probably not. We know Devon Achane is gone from Miami. Does that matter? Probably in a vacuum for the season, yes. For this particular matchup, no whatsoever. I have one thought on this game, one thought only. Wrote about it immediately Monday morning on the GoldSheet. This has not been added to the WagerTalk LTS picks just yet because I want weather confirmation. But I'm betting the over in this football game. Miami Dolphins don't play defense. The Carolina Panthers don't play defense. Who's stopping anybody on this field, Newbie?
I would bet it if you want to. I would bet it now because the thing that I'm seeing, and I follow, a couple different folks on Twitter. I really like doing weather handicapping as well. I think sometimes you can get burnt by it, but it's a great thing to add to a holistic handicapping approach. If you want to bet over in this game, I would bet it now because the news is going to trickle out that the weather isn't going to be as horrible as it was on Saturday. It's looking like all these storms are tracking more, or Sunday, are tracking more for Saturday storms. So if you're a college football bettor, hell yeah, be looking at the weather this weekend. One of the plays that I knew that I locked in early was UMass getting 43.5. I'm going to be at that Penn State game, but I think there's a lot of narrative that started in the week that, this weekend's going to be horrible. The weather patterns have changed, and sure, it might be bad weather, but it's not going to have those 30-mile-per-hour wind gusts. That's where I start taking that into approach with my handicapping. I think 47 is a really good number, and I think this thing's going to tick north of 48.5 by the morning when everyone realizes the weather isn't going to be that awful.
So right before the show, I was monitoring the market, and it actually ticked up to 48 from 47. Tick that down, sitting 47.5, and 47 is a key number in total. So it's hanging out right around there. Try to get 47. My handicap on this game is very simple. So obviously the Miami Dolphins can score at will. They're subject to scoring 30-plus points a game, especially at home. The Panthers, of course, their offense has not been clicking, but Bryce Young finally turned in his best game of the season. And Bryce Young, when he's at his best this year, it's in garbage time, which is hilarious to say because they're in garbage time all the time, and obviously that's when the other team's not around. I would not really recommend laying the 14 with Miami just because I could see a little bit of a lack of motivational factor there. But I
Yep.
really love this game going over because, like I mentioned, Miami can certainly score 34 themselves. Then Carolina, they'll hopefully luck into a touchdown or two in the first half, and then they're good for a backdoor kind of BS touchdown to throw this thing over the total. So I think Newey made a great point. The weather reports, that was something to monitor for Monday through the week, have all looked not nearly as bad. Even like last night's game was supposed to have a storm chances, ended up being perfect. You even watched the entire game. Bucker was kicking 60-yard field goals. There was no really win to worry about there. That was an ugly game that we'll discuss, and no need to discuss except for the fact that the GoldSheet team hit a first touchdown bet on that Kadarius Toney. That was awesome. That was a sweat and a half. But I think we went over this game pretty simply here. I don't want anything to do with the Panthers covering points, but I do think the Panthers can score at least 14 points, which will get this game over the total of 47.5 because Miami is liable to put up 40 before the third quarter even begins.
I'm with you. No disagreement here, brother. And also, don't be afraid of the boogeyman, aka the weatherman. I think that is something. I love adding it into my handicap, but it does get overblown, especially when everybody's talking about it.
Yeah, and you just have to be right. Like meteorologists, weathermen, they're working off probabilities themselves. They're working off radars that themselves. Like 5 days out, nobody knows what the hell Mother Nature is doing 5 days out. You can put a 20% probability on it, and then in 24 more hours, then that goes to a 50% or a 10%. Like it's all probability regardless. But
weather people and fantasy football prognosticators, the two people who never have to have any accountability in their line of work. It's just the nature of what it does.
If you're taking a million shots a day, you're gonna miss some, and the broken clock is gonna be right twice a day anyway. So you're gonna hit on some there. But this is the game where we just straight up disagree. We're going to talk some Philadelphia Eagles headed to New York to take on the Jets. New York coming off a big win against Denver. If you want to call anything against Denver a big win, it seems like Georgia could beat Denver at this point. Then you have the Philadelphia Eagles, who are 5-0, and there's a lot of talk about this team not being a great 5-0 team. While I don't fully disagree by any means, they've had a pretty easy schedule to start, and their schedule picks up a lot toward the middle and back end of the season, so it's kind of similar to last year. But I have a lot of credit. I give the team credit when they take care of business. They don't make their schedule. They just have to show up on the football field and win football games, and Philadelphia has been doing that. But Newbie, you think 7 points here is too many, and at 7 you lean Jets. Talk to me.
At 6.5, it made a lot of sense for me to bet the Philadelphia Eagles. This is a pure number play for me. Getting the Jets at 7 points, and it's funny, you look behind me, my pops, I'm visiting my parents here before I go to Penn State for the weekend, and a great bird's nest man cave that he's got working down here. So I got all the Eagle stuff behind me. Absolutely love it. And also, if you guys have any man caves or Eagles nest, your favorite team, reach out to us on Twitter. He's at Slime Action. I'm at Newbie Talks, NEUBYTALKS. I always love seeing people's man caves. So shoot us some pictures of yours since I'm recording live from the man cave here tonight. But as far as this game goes, man, it's just this 7 seems a bit much for me. And I'm not in the camp of saying that the Philadelphia Eagles are a bad 5-0 team. I think they dispelled a lot of that with what they did last week against the Rams. And the Rams were a real trendy pick. It was one that I was on here myself, talking about them in that 10.5 point teaser. That part cashed, but them on the spread did not cash. And the reason why that 10.5 cashed is because this Eagles red zone offense just isn't right. Jalen Hurts throws an interception in the red zone. They settle for a lot of field goals. Thankfully, they have one of the best field goal kickers in the game in Jake Elliott. I don't think that changes this week. I think Jake Elliott over 1.5 field goals is worth a really good look in this game. But for me, this is a team that they're going to be facing that they are 12-0 lifetime against. The Philadelphia Eagles have never lost a game to the New York Jets. Do I think it happens this week? No. But do I think that's some bulletin board stuff that Robert Saleh, as a rah-rah guy, is going to point towards? Sure, I do. And this is a real rally the troop moments. This is a trend that I have liked using, and it's been really profitable for us over the last few weeks. And it's the teams going into a bye versus teams who are coming off of a bye. These stats from Ralph Michaels at Cal Sports LV on Twitter. The strongest subset of teams before the bye week are teams who are a home underdog. 28, 16, and 1 against the number. The teams that are home underdogs before the bye, that's an over 63% trend. That's something I can't ignore with that kind of sample size. And the spot kind of makes sense because this is a Philadelphia Eagles team playing against a team that they have dominated their entire history. And oh yeah, the Eagles play Monday Night Football against a very good offense. Everyone talks about the bad secondary for the Eagles. They're playing the Dolphins on Monday Night Football. Could there be a bit of a look-ahead spot? Maybe. If it does, it manifests itself early. So I would look towards playing the Jets on the first half spread. I'm going to do a little Jets money line sprinkle in the first half. I wouldn't be shocked if the Jets have a lead in this game heading into halftime. But as far as the bet we can grade me at here, I like Jets +7 for the game. I think they're going to hang around. And the Eagles, what motivation do they have to be beaten up on a Jets team who's kind of been left for dead since Aaron Rodgers got hurt? I'll take the 7 and maybe have some egg on my face with my birds once again. But with what I know about them, I think that back door is going to be a little bit open. Maybe a late field goal, maybe a late touchdown either pushes it this number or covers it. So I'll take the 7.
Yeah, so obviously just any situation, you want to get the 6 or the 6.5. Both of those were pretty widely available up until probably like yesterday. Like this number was 7 pretty early in the week. It was 6, not that long, 6.5. So if you like the Eagles, obviously have tried to get that 6 or 6.5. If you like the Jets, take that 7. I'm not arguing, of course, with the situational trends and things like that. You have sample sizes like that. You can't really ignore them. But from a just pure X's and O's matchup standpoint, the Philadelphia Eagles are honestly the New York Jets' worst nightmare. The one thing the New York Jets can do well on offense is run the football. Breece Hall is an absolute animal. Great to see him running back. But now I face the Philadelphia Eagles defense that is one of the best run defenses in all of football and totes one of the best front sevens in all of football. Now, Zach Wilson, he's playing behind a terrible, terrible offensive line that is now missing their best player in Vera Tucker, who is going to be on the injury reserve. And what do we know about Zach Wilson is once you get in his face, you get hands up, you get pressure, you get big guys like Josh Sweat, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Fletcher Cox, so on and so forth coming after him. He is prone to making absolutely terrible mistakes, taking horrible sacks, throwing the ball into triple coverage, and fumbling the football and leading to defensive scores. So on that front, I think the Eagles absolutely dominate the line of scrimmage on defense. All things considered, assuming they don't come out lethargic, which is like you're mentioning kind of part of that trend is if they don't really care, would be a situation there. The Birds kind of let down here. But from an X's and O's, they absolutely dominate offensively. Defensively, on the other side of the coin, the New York Jets defense, in my opinion, is very overrated. I think that their linebacking core is good, so they might be able to slow Jalen Hurts down a little bit, be able to read the RPO action and whatnot. But the New York Jets, they just let Denver put up 20-plus points on them. They're not this stalwart defense that everybody anticipated, like, okay, they held the Bills down. The Bills always get held down by the Jets. You hold the Patriots down. The Patriots, that was the most points the Patriots have scored in the last 3 games have come against you. Denver Broncos looked at least competent. The Chiefs have a great defense, as we saw last night, but the Jets defense was lauded as a top 3-5 unit. I'm not saying it's 16-17, but it's definitely not 1 through 5 by any means. So I think that the Birds will be able to do enough to just get Zach Wilson uncomfortable, shut down that run game, but then how the hell did the New York Jets score points unless Jalen Hurts or somebody has an uncharacteristic fumble or pick six?
Yeah, and again, I think a lot of what you laid out there makes a heck of a lot of sense. And that's why, when I'm breaking down this game of why I like Jets and why I bet Jets plus the 7, simply is more situational than anything. I didn't come on and give DVOA this and look at how they match up schematically. Like for me, it's just if the Eagles were to let down early in the season, or I guess quarter way through the season, this would be the game they would before this huge stretch of games. Or on the other side of that coin, do the Eagles view this as more important than ever with, games against the Dolphins, the 49ers, 2 matchups against the Cowboys, the Bills, the Chiefs? Do they view this as, hey, we need to get these wins now? Or is it a bit of a look ahead? It's more situational than me on anything. So I appreciate definitely you dropping your thoughts on that Jets defense, because it's one that I kind of agree with. I don't think that they're a bad defense, but they're not, we're not having the 85 Bears that's trotting out against the Philadelphia Eagles this week. Let's put it that way. But at 7, it's still a bet that I did place with my own money.
So another way to just look at this simply, because the 7 does put value on the Jets, 100%. Key number of 7. So what should you do, or can you do, is just take the Eagles in Survivor, one, if that's something you're into, or two,
Fair.
tease them down to -2, because another interesting stat here, Jalen Hurts, or let me rephrase, Philadelphia is 20-1 straight up in Jalen Hurts' career as a starter as a favorite of more than 3 points. So
yeah, talk about a sample size. Yeah, talk about a sample size there.
The letdown situations are 100% apparent. Nobody bets anything based on trends, or I shouldn't say nobody, but Newbie and I don't. But situations are different than trends. Situations are something to definitely keep in mind. So I see where you're coming from, Newbie. We could dig one of our own bets together here. Obviously, I'll want the 6.5. You could have the 7. We'll figure out how that goes. I definitely think matchup-wise, the Birds have a good edge there.
I'm not going head-to-head on the money line in this one. Let's put it that way. No money line bet in this one.
3 more games to go. First one, we're going to start with New England at Las Vegas, and we're going to do Detroit, Tampa Bay, and end off with Monday Night Football, Dallas at Los Angeles. Now, this New England game, this play that I'm about to give out, is a 3% client play for the GoldSheet. Currently have 4 3% plays up against the spread, and also 1 3% teaser going right now. This is on the back of a Thursday Night Football game where we hit a first touchdown bet. We hit 2 other props, but unfortunately, we had that loss on the Broncos, 10.5. That's why the number shopping is important, because there was an 11 out there early yesterday morning. That 11 is a push, ends up being a loss. Digression aside, 3% play, GoldSheet, Patriots +3. We spent so much time talking on Tuesday about, is Bill Belichick washed? Should he retire? Should he get fired? What do they do? And this all leads up to a New England Patriots upset winner as well. I was going to be sprinkling the money line. I have them +3. The GoldSheet team has them +3. While there's nothing going right for the New England Patriots, we have a situation now where Mac Jones and Bill Belichick have to be as motivated as ever. This is quite literally the worst team that Bill Belichick has been a part of, and Mac Jones has been playing absolutely terribly. However, this is something that you and I have talked about ad nauseum when we discussed New England Patriots. They are Jekyll and Hyde. They play good teams, they're terrible. They play bad teams, they win. After seeing the Las Vegas Raiders play football, inexplicably on primetime already a couple times this season, there's just no way that you can put together the fact that the Las Vegas Raiders are a good football team. Think about this matchup last year. The New England Patriots are going down to win that football game until, Mac Jones did that crazy fumble and Chandler Jones takes it back to the crib to win that. I mean, he absolutely decked him. But guess what? He's no longer on the field, Chandler Jones. This New England Patriots team, you have facing a Las Vegas team that's coming off Monday Night Football in a situation where they are coming off an absolute brutal beatdown. So you're going to have the Patriots being completely undervalued in the market and being viewed as one of the worst teams in the NFL if you're laying 3 points or getting 3 points against the Las Vegas Raiders team. That's one of the worst teams in EPA per play. And when it comes to, again, Mac Jones and the Patriots, they have played one of the toughest schedules in football so far. Like, this is not a surprise. For the last 3 years of Mac Jones being the quarterback of the New England Patriots, they play good teams, he struggles. They play bad teams, the team plays well and wins. So I'm kind of riding the situation. You have the Belichick disciple angle as well, where obviously he wants to be Josh McDaniels, who makes terrible in-game decisions. You have a Raiders defense that's playing well above its weight class, an offense that can't score more than 17 points a game, and a situation where after getting blown out, the Patriots have all the motivation in the world against a team on a short week, 3% client play. Newbie, agree, disagree, or what? Because we talked a lot of shit about the Patriots on Tuesday. Also, final thought, I will be probably teasing up the Patriots again. I'm hoping for a 2.5 and
I like that.
Doubling down on the teaser as well. But and also the Patriots will be in my money line parlay this weekend. I think New England, they need to win this football game. I think they win this football game.
Yeah, finally you come on here with a game that I'm just like, dude, why do we have to bet this game? The Raiders and the Patriots. Like, I feel like I'm coming on with the stinky breakdowns every week where you're like, Dan, you know that there's all these other games on the board. Like, you don't have to bet this, but your handicap makes a lot of sense. For me, this is a sheer stay away. I think both of these teams, no good. I also think if you do the Barney at the bar, the talking head, Belichick versus a former coach, Belichick runs these guys 18-19 straight up against former coaches and former players. So the Belichick dominance over players and coaches who learned under him, a little bit overblown. But for me, this one's a stay away. It makes a lot of sense to me. Getting that 3, I surely lean the way of the Patriots. I don't want to lay any points with the Raiders right now. And sure, they won that game, but that had a lot to do more with the Packers than it did with the Las Vegas Raiders. So, if I was betting this game, if I was picking it, I would lean the side that you are, just because I don't think either of these teams should be laying points. This should be a pick 'em game. So if you're giving me 3 points with a team that needs it like blood a lot more than the Raiders, it makes a heck of a lot of sense to me, EP. So no dissension here, but I'm not sure if I'm pulling off the rubber band and riding this one with you.
Yeah, don't blame you. It's ugly. It's an ugly special. It's a little bit of a hold your nose kind of week at some situations.
We love the ugly dogs here, man. We love them. Ugly dogs need love too. That's the theme of GoldSheet TV, baby.
Absolutely love it. New England +3, locked and loaded. Still widely available, which is why I wanted to give this one out as well, because it's out there for you guys, hopefully, to be able to bet if you guys want to tail them. Moving on, 2 more games. We're going to go with Detroit at Tampa Bay before we do Monday Night Football breakdown. Newbie, the market's been going back and forth here. You got Tampa Bay off a bye. Yeah. You have a lot of trends about just Jared Goff in general and the Detroit Lions not being great when they're outside, when they're on the road. Yep. They love their beautiful dome at Ford Field, that beautiful turf. And you have, again, Baker Mayfield, the Bucs, playing some great football. All credit to where it's due for this team. Market, this game has been getting to 3.5 and getting right back down to 3. That leads me to always believe, and it's a telltale sign that, sharp people are not letting this go past 3.5. They see a hook pop up, they're betting the 3.5 with the Buccaneers. This is a situation where it's similar to me with the Jets-Eagles situation, where you have the Philadelphia Eagles -6 or 6.5. I'm all over the Eagles. If you have the Jets at 7, I see the Jets. Same situation here at 3.5 or a 3 or 2.5, I should say. I would definitely lean Lions at 3.5. I guess I get it. But man, matchup perspective wise, Newbie, the Lions check every box for me. Mm-hmm. I don't get this spread. I don't know. What are you thinking here?
Well, and you have the bye week and you still have a question mark next to Mike Evans' name. And outside of Mike Evans, who's been a consistent contributor for this Tampa Bay offense? Godwin, sure, he shows flashes here and there. You haven't been able to rely on him. The run game is pedestrian at best. And, Baker Mayfield's still the quarterback. He is the poster child of unreliability. However, the thing that does give me pause is the point that you made of being away from home sweet dome for this Lions team. Again, I feel bad. I have a short card. Really, the only 2 plays that I like and bet myself are that Indianapolis game and that Jets game. But I do have something, if you're looking towards the Lions, that backs up again. And I'm going to throw this stat out when we talk about Dallas as well. And we talked about home dogs before the bye and what a great spot that is. Home dogs coming off of the bye, according to the research done by Ralph Michaels, has been a fade spot. It's not, a notably so with a decent sample size, though it is under 500. Home dogs off the bye against the spread, 14, 19, and 1. So old Barney at the bar tells you they're rested. They're going to be ready to go. The data tells you teams coming off of the bye have been a little bit lethargic out of the gate. So if I was to bet this game, I'm with you. I don't think this is your daddy's Lions team anymore. Like the fact that we were comfortable laying 9.5 with the Lions last week and we didn't even have to sweat that one, it's telling you this team is for real. The preseason hype that I didn't quite live up to and believe in, it's coming true. The Lions are doing something special. They're becoming a player here in the NFC. Going on the road, getting a win against the Bucs would just be another feather in the cap of a team that I wasn't a believer coming into the year, and they've made me change my tune 5 weeks through. So I'm leaning that way with you, and this is one that may get upgraded to a bet. If we see a 2.5 flash, oh my God, if those sharps want to back the Buccaneers and give me a 2.5 in this one, that's a big bet for me. That's a 2 or 3 unit play, but at 3. I probably lean that way. Come Sunday morning, if it's still sitting at 3, maybe I throw a little pizza money on this one with you. That's the only way I would look in this one.
Yeah, I don't know if there is a 3. If a 2.5 even pops up, there's no way it's going to be up there for more than 20 minutes,
no.
honestly.
No, you need to be refreshing the screen. Yeah.
We've seen that a couple times this season where those numbers are just barely available. Part of why I like the Lions as well as some of those situational trends you mentioned. But just again, X's and O's, right? Like there are
Yeah.
situations, there are down situations, but there are also when you look at what's happening on the football field, Buccaneers can't run the football for their lives. The Detroit Lions have a good run defense, so they're not going to be able to move the ball there whatsoever. Baker Mayfield has been actually good under pressure this season, but his career MO is that he sucks under pressure. So I'm willing to bet that he is going to regress and become worse again under pressure. The Lions actually do a good job controlling the defensive front. Other side of the football, the Buccaneers, their defense is just not as good as it's been in prior years, and Detroit has the ability to just move the ball over. If there's no weather concerns, which it doesn't seem like there's going to be that many high concerns, I could see how Jared Goff could throw the football over this team. But not even just that. The Buccaneers' run defense used to be their pride and joy. Now their run defense has been struggling all year, and David Montgomery behind this offensive line, he's getting gaping wide holes to run through. So situation, checks Lions. Matchup, checks Lions. Spread, market reaction, I should say, is pointing Bucks, which makes me nervous. Like I would love a one-sided game where everybody's pounding the lines. The line gets to 6.5, and I'm just teasing them back down. And there's something I haven't even mentioned yet. Is there are so many road teams that I love this weekend, and that is just not a recipe for success. I can't see the road happening like that. But I'll just run through quick. Like Ravens, it's in London, but they're technically the road team. I like them to win. My commies on the road, I like them to win. Vikings on the road, I could see them winning that football game. Seattle on the road, I could see them winning that football game. Niners winning that football game. Saints, I gave out where you talked today, winning that football game. Colts, we can see the upset. Panthers, no shot. Lions winning. Patriots winning. Cardinals, maybe. Eagles winning. Giants, no shot. Cowboys, anything to go. Like every single team I just named there of 14 games, that was like a 12 or 11 road favorites, which is or road teams in general. Newbie, that's not happening, right?
What could go wrong? What could go wrong, man? Famous last words. But honestly, as you're breaking down those sides, they make a hell of a lot of sense to me, man. I think this is a real tough board. And again, that's why I only come on here with 2 plays. Usually I have 3, 4 that I'm giving out here. It's a minefield this weekend. We'll see which of those favorites or road teams lets you down. Hop below in the comments. Let us know. You like road teams or you like the homes? Let us know in the comments below. And while you're down there, make sure you hit that like button. We would greatly appreciate it.
Some of these home teams have to win, but I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm being square or I'm outsmarting myself and I'm big braining, but we'll finalize. Of course, Newbie and I on Twitter will post some other things that we have. And then, of course, GoldSheet.com for the newsletter and newsletter picks and WagerTalk.com for the Gold Sheet and Gold Sheet picks. We're going to run through this final game really quickly unless you have something actionable because I don't love this game. Monday Night Football, they'll have to talk real quick. Cowboys at Chargers. Cowboys getting dismantled last week. Chargers coming off a bye. You have the Kellen Moore versus Mike McCarthy battle here. Kellen Moore, the old OC of the Cowboys, now with the Chargers. McCarthy calling plays, not looking so great so far. Guns ahead right now on Chargers. Here, Newbie, what are your thoughts?
Well, it's fun. At least we have some dissension in a game that you and I don't absolutely love because I like Dallas in the bounce back. If there's one thing we know about Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott, it's not that they're great, but they are really damn good when their backs are up against the wall and they're coming off an embarrassing loss, especially one in prime time. Off of a loss since 2021, this Dallas team, and since they lose so often, little bird's jab there, we have a nice sample size over the last 3 years to draw upon. They're 9-1 straight up after games that they lose. And that number's even better. I believe it was something comparable of them covering the spread in those games. But I basically throw the spread out of this one since it's so short. I would probably play money line either way you want to play this one. But you also mentioned team going into the bye, team coming off of the bye. Those are these 2 Ralph stats that we keep bringing up. And I mentioned in that Tampa Bay, the home dog off of bye, 14, 19-1 against the number. Well, Dallas now an away favorite before the bye, 21, 17-1 against the number. So a Chargers team that none of us really love. They're good. They're fun. They're a great team to play in fantasy. That's for damn sure. But you're playing against a very motivated Dallas team that just got their teeth kicked in on prime time. They get to exercise those demons. And let's be real. Sure, these away and home favorite things are all great trends. This isn't a home game for the LA Chargers. Let's be real. Yeah. Dallas Cowboys fans on Monday Night Football heading out to LA. As a resident of LA now, it's a hell of a trip. It's a fun trip. There's going to be a lot of Dallas stars there looking for the bounce back. So there ain't no home field advantage coming for the Chargers in this one. I think a lot of things point towards Dallas in this one. It's not a play that I love, but if we want to have another head-to-head little show bet, Sure, I'll take we dem boys here. And honestly, if they end up losing as an Eagles fan, that works for me. Eagles win, they lose. We're 3 games up in the division. But all joking aside, I think Dallas is the right side in this one. And maybe come Monday, it'll be a bet that I end up making. But as far as it is right now, it's a lean towards Dallas. I think if you add that, it's a fine enough bet. But I would bet it on the money line as opposed to laying any number in this one. I think it makes the most sense number-wise. And you probably would be able to speak to that a little bit more than I would.
Yeah, I would, if I'm taking Chargers, even like I'm not even betting the 2.5 if I do end up. I would just take them out right on the money line as well here.
Good teaser leg if you do like the Chargers too.
Yeah, a total of 51. So that's a little bit always tough to tease with lower totals. Points become more valuable, obviously, when the market expects less points. Not really a whole scientific reasoning for me liking the Chargers here. It's more so that I'm a little bit concerned about Dallas just being somewhat broken. But we know Brandon Staley's MO is to do anything he can to not win football games when his job is to win football games. So
it's the mid-off. McCarthy versus Staley. It's the mid-off, and one of them has a Super Bowl ring. But yeah, it's definitely 2 coaches that like to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory week after week. That's for sure.
Hard to have conviction backing any of these teams against also both teams, which are definitely good teams. Definitely on the upper echelon while they're not elite. But thank you guys again for tuning in for the Best Bet edition, Week 6. Running through quick recap, we have a play for newbie on Indy +4. I have them in a teaser plus 10.5. If you could find a 10.5, I would love that as a teaser leg. Heavy lean on Carolina, Miami over 47. Jets +7, play for newbie. Eric, I love them as Philly as a teaser leg. GoldSheet in my play, New England +3, locked and loaded. Heavy lean, Detroit -3. If you see a 2.5, I would bet that, no questions asked. And Newbie and I going head-to-head, Dallas, Los Angeles, both of us. Nothing probably making our cards, but that is where we are looking. So if you like the content, please hammer that like button. That's the best way to help us out. Subscribe to the channel. Shoot us the comments who you think is winning this week, where you think Newbie and I got it wrong, and what you want to see from us moving forward. You can follow Newbie on Twitter at Newbie Talks, and myself at Slime Action. On behalf of both of us, WagerTalk Media and the Gold Sheet, thank you and best of luck with your bets this weekend.